Oh my goodness, that's a great question because you would probably get just a handful of people that would be on that list. Country music's beloved nicest guy, Vince Gill, might not be so nice behind the scenes. At 68, the legendary singer reportedly keeps a secret list and it's not filled with friends. Sources close to the star say Gill has quietly named 7 artists he simply can't stand. I didn't see a long future with that band, so that's when I started kind of working towards a solo career. From longtime rivals to surprising betrayals, each name on the list tells a story of broken trust, bruised egos, and behind-the-curtain drama. Fans are stunned, especially by number 4, which reveals a feud no one saw coming. Known for his smooth voice and gentle demeanor, Gill's hidden grudges paint a very different picture. One thing's for sure, Nashville's friendliest face might just have the sharpest memory. Stay tuned, this one's just getting started. Number 7, Garth Brooks. Vince Gill and Garth Brooks both dominated country charts in the 90s, but they were never close collaborators. While fans celebrated both artists, those behind the scenes noticed tension. Vince, known for his laid-back vibe and pure country sound, seemed uncomfortable with Garth's explosive success. Garth brought high-energy performances, pyrotechnics, and stadium tours, things Vince never embraced. Insiders believe Vince saw it all as a bit too much too soon. Rumors swirled in the early 2000s that Garth extended an offer to Vince for a major duet, but Vince quietly declined. Some say it wasn't about scheduling, it was about principle. According to one label rep, Vince didn't want to be part of what he saw as the commercialization of country music. He preferred substance over spectacle, and reportedly saw Garth's style as leaning too far into theatrics. That refusal marked a clear divide in their musical values. The split in philosophy showed in interviews over the years. In a 2005 magazine feature, Vince talked about how real country was losing ground to performance-driven acts. While he never named Garth directly, fans believed it was a subtle dig. Around the same time, at a CMA event, Vince joked that country music wasn't Broadway with boots, which many took as a veiled shot at Garth's showy approach. The crowd laughed, but those in the industry caught the message. What's striking is how different their images are. Garth built a brand around big crowds and emotional anthems, while Vince stayed grounded in his guitar work and heartfelt lyrics. Vince's fans appreciated his authenticity, while Garth's audience embraced the spectacle. These differences might explain why they never shared the stage in any meaningful way. Despite both being legends, they walked very separate paths. One lesser-known moment adds to the speculation. During a tribute concert in 2010, Garth was in the audience, but Vince noticeably skipped performing. It raised eyebrows since both artists were scheduled. A crew member later hinted that Vince requested to be pulled last minute. While it's unclear if it was personal, it added fuel to the long-running theory that the two simply didn't click. To this day, fans still wonder why Vince and Garth never teamed up. In an industry where collaborations are common, their silence says a lot. Vince has worked with everyone from Dolly to Carrie Underwood, but Garth's name never comes up. Even during group performances at awards shows, Vince often stood far from Garth, both literally and musically. That distance wasn't lost on fans. It's possible Vince respected Garth's achievements, but didn't connect with his style. Not every rivalry is loud or public. Some are quiet, with deep artistic differences at the core. For Vince, it seems Garth represented a version of country music he couldn't support. The two may never have traded insults, but the distance between them was real. And in a genre built on storytelling, this unspoken tension told its own story. Kristofferson broke rules. Vince followed them. What really happened between these two icons has remained unspoken for far too long. Number 6. Kris Kristofferson. Kris Kristofferson and Vince Gill come from very different parts of the country music world. Kristofferson is often called the outlaw poet. His music has a raw, emotional edge, and his lyrics feel like stories told straight from the heart. He doesn't worry much about perfection or polish. Vince Gill is almost the opposite. He's a perfectionist who focuses on clean vocals, flawless guitar work, and a smooth sound. This sharp contrast between Kristofferson's rough style and Vince's polished approach created a quiet but real tension between the two. Vince never spoke badly about Kristofferson in public, but behind the scenes people close to both say Vince had a certain disdain for Kristofferson's messy style. Kristofferson's songs sometimes sound like they were written in a rush, capturing a feeling without worrying about neatness or structure. Vince prefers music where every note is planned and every lyric clear. This made it hard for Vince to fully respect Kristofferson's work, even if he admired his songwriting talent. Their relationship was polite, but distant. They met at events and awards shows, but didn't hang out or work together. Vince admired Kristofferson's impact on country music, but was often frustrated by how Kristofferson ignored the rules of the craft. The rivalry wasn't loud or public. It was quiet competition based on very different views about how country music should sound and feel. One thing many people don't realize is that Vince's frustration wasn't only about music style. It was also about what Kristofferson stood for outside of music. Kristofferson was a symbol of rebellion. He rejected the commercial Nashville system and didn't care much for fitting into the country star mold. Vince, while not a strict traditionalist, believed country music should balance creativity with professionalism. This difference in values added fuel to their unspoken rivalry. Kristofferson's outlaw image made him a hero to those who wanted country music to be about freedom and real-life struggles. Vince represents the cleaner, radio-friendly side of country that helped the genre grow in popularity during the 1990s and early 2000s. The clash between them reflects a larger battle within country music itself, staying true to tradition versus reaching a broader audience with a polished sound. A lesser-known fact is that Vince once said in an interview that he respects the outlaw movement for pushing boundaries, but thinks some of the rebels went too far in ignoring the basics of good songwriting and musicianship. That was a clear jab at Kristofferson's style, even if he didn't name him. Vince's approach is about showing skill and control, while Kristofferson's is about emotion and rawness. Their rivalry also shows how country music fans have split over the years. Some prefer Kristofferson's honesty and grit, while others love Vince's smooth voice and flawless guitar playing. This divide still exists today. Younger artists often pick one style or try to mix both, showing how important this contrast is for the genre. Another interesting angle is how both men influenced other artists in very different ways. Kristofferson inspired outlaw legends like Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings to break free from Nashville's rules. Vince helped shape the careers of newer stars like Brad Paisley and Keith Urban, who combine great musicianship with a modern sound. So even though Vince and Kristofferson didn't see eye to eye, both left a huge mark on country music. Number 5. Billy Ray Cyrus. In the early 1990s, Billy Ray Cyrus' mega hit Achy Breaky Heart made him a star in the country music world. The song became a huge hit right away, making Billy Ray a star and starting a line dancing craze that spread across the country and filled dance halls from coast to coast. Fans were two-stepping to his catchy chorus, but not everyone in the business was impressed. Vince Gill was one of them. Achy Breaky Heart was a big change for a lot of traditional country music fans and musicians like Vince. The song didn't seem to move country music forward with its deep musical and storylines. Instead, it seemed to move it backwards. There's no denying that it was catchy, but Vince thought it was too much like a trick. He thought the song gave up meaning to appeal to a wide audience, which was something he had always fought against in his own career. Vince Gill is one of the most respected singers in the genre and can play many instruments. He has built his reputation on heartfelt ballads, honest lyrics, and undeniable musical talent. He cares more about art than popularity, and has never been one to follow trends. Vince wasn't very impressed when Billy Ray Cyrus came out with big hair-tight jeans and a flashy country rock look. He thought Billy Ray's look and sound were more of a marketing trick than a real country music artist. In the 1990s, both artists were busy with their own careers, but they never worked together, and that wasn't by accident. Insiders say that even though they walked the same award show stages and red carpets, they were always cold and distant with each other. Vince was polite, but not friendly. He put on a professional air while keeping a noticeable distance. People who worked behind the scenes say that Vince was wary of Billy Ray's pop-focused style because he had a lot of respect for musicians. He just didn't think that he was as dedicated to the craft as he was. On the other hand, Billy Ray seemed more interested in chart success and crossover appeal than in being an artist with a lot of depth. Vince wasn't giving him approval from the traditional camp, and he wasn't looking for it either. The disagreement between them showed a bigger conflict in the world of country music, the struggle between staying true to tradition and adapting to new market demands. Vince wasn't just affected by achy, breaky heart. It was a sign of a trend that he didn't like. The popularity of a simple, repetitive track seemed to inspire a generation of artists to put image-catchy hooks and popularity over telling a story and being a good musician. Vince was afraid that this would water down the essence of country music and make it more like current pop trends instead of its roots in honest emotion and rural authenticity. That worry wasn't unfounded. In the years after Billy Ray's big break, the genre got a lot of acts like him. Flashy performers with hit songs that didn't go deep. Vince thought these artists were riding the wave that Billy Ray helped start, and he didn't like how the genre was going in the wrong direction. Still, even Vince had to agree that Billy Ray was a big part of making country music more popular. He got fans from outside of the traditional country base, as well as younger people. Although Vince had many problems with the idea of reaching new audiences, he knew that it wasn't inherently bad. What was important to him was how it was done. He cared more about quality than showmanship. It's interesting that Billy Ray's influence didn't end with his own career. His daughter Miley Cyrus would become a famed pop star all over the world. In the process, she added even more pop to the country world, especially when she was first becoming Hannah Montana. The Cyrus family helped blur the lines between country and pop even more. But Vince has never said anything directly about Miley's effect. Vince saw the whole story from achy, breaky heart to modern country pop mixes as a battle going on in the genre. As someone who has spent his whole life trying to keep country music honest, seeing it become more commercialized was not only disappointing, it hit close to home. That's why Vince Gill put Billy Ray Cyrus on his not-so-secret list. Vince Gill never paid tribute to Shania Twain. What's behind the silence is more shocking than any headline she ever made. Number 4, Shania Twain. Shania Twain didn't just join the country music scene, she changed it. Shania, who was known as the queen of country pop mixed traditional country sounds with mainstream pop, to make a new high-energy style that broke down barriers between genres. Her polished, radio-friendly hits helped spread country music around the world. But her success cost some people like Vince Gill, who liked things the way they were. He thought that Shania's success was different from the honesty that made real country music what it was. It was easy for Shania's albums, especially Come On Over, to appeal to a wide range of music fans. Her songs had catchy pop-style hooks, danceable rhythms, and sparkling production that made them sound good on both country and top 40 radio stations. Millions of new fans were drawn to the genre, but more traditional country artists were unhappy because they thought country music was becoming less authentic. One of them was Vince Gill. Vince Gill has always stuck to the rules. He made a name for himself with honest lyrics, soulful ballads, and unmatched musical skill. Vince is the kind of artist who thinks that country music can be used to tell honest, raw, and emotionally grounded stories. He has a smooth voice and is good at playing many instruments. It's not about glitz and glamour or making hits with trendy beats that go to the top of the charts. Vince thinks it's about truth-life loss, love, and rising above told through music and words. So when Shania Twain came out with big hair, sparkly clothes, and pop-heavy hits like Man, It Was a Clash of Cultures with people saying things like, I feel like a woman, and that don't impress me much, Vince thought her music was too polite and too smooth, even though it was undeniably catchy and well-produced. Shania's success marked a change from her old image of dirty boots and teary ballads to one that was bright, happy, and marketable. The tension between Vince and Shania was never seen by other people or made a big scene. There were no angry interviews or jabs meant to make the news. The rift showed up in more subtle ways instead. Vince and Shania never worked together. He never talked about how great her albums were at award shows or how she dominated the charts in interviews. In the close-knit world of the country, that silence said a lot. It wasn't about being rude, it was about morals. Vince admired Shania's accomplishments, but he didn't agree with the way she was going with her music. He thought that her work showed that the genre was changing from making money instead of artistic growth. He thought that country music lost its identity more and more as it became more glossy and bubblegum-like. Vince thought that country music shouldn't try to follow pop trends, but instead should show real life in all its beautiful messiness. Shania's fame made things harder for other artists, especially women. She broke down barriers for women performers, showing that they could rule the charts, lead world tours, and change the way people thought about the genre. But Vince was very traditional, so he often missed or didn't give enough credit to artists who followed her pop-inspired path. Because of this, female singers who didn't fit the usual mold sometimes had a hard time getting respect in places where Vince's opinion mattered. This had a small but noticeable effect on the business world. Shania made it possible for women like Carrie Underwood, Taylor Swift, and Kelsea Ballerini to become famous. These women leaned toward pop music but were labeled as country. At the same time, artists like Patti Loveless and Lee Ann Womack, who shared Vince's values, often got more praise from critics but less support from fans. Even more clearly could be seen the gap between artistic authenticity and making money. Shania Twain and Vince Gill both had impact on modern country music, even though they were different. Shania brought a lot of new fans' energy and glitz. Vince kept the spirit of the genre alive with honesty and love. As two ends of the country music spectrum, they showed two ways the genre could go. Even though they never worked together, what they did on their own showed how country music changed over time. Country music today still straddles the line between being easy to understand and having a lot of depth. The tension that Shania and Vince represented hasn't gone away. It's just changed names and sounds. But this tension comes from a quiet rivalry between a pop country queen and a storyteller purist. Number 3. Jason Aldean. Jason Aldean is often called the face of bro country, a style that mixes country music with party themes, trucks, and easy living vibes. His songs usually focus on fun drinking and small-town life, wrapped in loud guitars and catchy beats. This style made him very popular, especially with younger audiences who enjoy the energetic party atmosphere his music creates. However, this approach is quite different from what Vince Gill stands for. Vince believes country music should be about deep songwriting, meaningful lyrics, and storytelling that connects on a personal level. Vince Gill has always valued craftsmanship in songwriting. For him, every song needs to tell a story with heart and honesty. He feels that lyrics should have real emotion and depth. Aldean's music, with its repetitive themes and simple words, doesn't meet those standards in Vince's eyes. He sees Aldean's style as loud and shallow, focused more on image and lifestyle marketing than on the art of songwriting. This creates a clear divide between the two artists and what they represent in country music. Because of these differences, Vince Gill quietly refuses to attend events or award shows that heavily feature Jason Aldean. This isn't about public drama or direct insults. It's a personal choice that shows where Vince's loyalties lie. He wants to support and promote country music that honors tradition, and songwriting not just hits that dominate the radio because they are catchy and marketable. This quiet boycott speaks volumes about the tension between old-school country values and modern commercialized trends. Jason Aldean's success helped bring a new, more commercial sound to country music. His albums sell well, and his concerts draw large crowds. Many fans love his energetic style and relatable party anthems. Yet Vince sees this as a shift that threatens the soul of country music. For Vince, music isn't just about entertainment or marketing. It's about preserving the roots and the storytelling tradition that define the genre. One interesting insight into this rivalry is how it reflects a larger shift in country music culture. Aldean's bro country style appeals to a lifestyle and image that sometimes blurs the lines between country and pop culture. This style sells well and brings new listeners but can alienate longtime fans who want depth and tradition. Vince Gill's refusal to participate in that world highlights the ongoing debate over what country music should be a storytelling art form or a commercial product. Despite their differences, both Vince Gill and Jason Aldean have shaped country music in powerful ways. Aldean's style opened new doors and audiences pushing country music into mainstream pop culture. Vince's approach protects the roots, encouraging songwriters to focus on craft and emotional truth. Their quiet rivalry shows the tension between innovation and tradition, a story that continues to define country music today. Number 2, Kanye West. Kanye West is not a country artist, but his name still enters conversations when people talk about music that values attention over depth. Known for grand statements, fashion shows, and wild public behavior, Kanye represents an era of music driven by ego and spectacle. His albums push boundaries, but they often feel more like personal branding tools than heartfelt expressions. For Vince Gill, this modern wave of music where artists build empires on self-worship goes against the soul of why music exists. He's never named Kanye directly, but his criticism of today's stars clearly points to figures like him. Vince believes music should be about connection, not control. While Kanye uses his fame to dominate headlines and shift the spotlight to himself, Vince chooses a quiet path. He speaks through emotion, not controversy. To Vince, true music is grounded in humility, a willingness to be small so the song can be big. He sees the glorification of self, which Kanye does openly, as a dangerous shift that turns musicians into untouchable icons rather than storytellers. The clash isn't just about genre, it's about values. Vince and Kanye come from entirely different musical worlds, but the message they carry couldn't be more opposed. Kanye builds chaos to sell music. Vince builds emotion to share meaning. Kanye leans into narcissism as performance art. Vince sees narcissism as a death sentence for authenticity. Even though they may never cross paths, their approaches show a bigger cultural battle between showmanship and soul. In many ways, Kanye's brand of music symbolizes everything Vince has warned about. Flashy production lyrics centered on personal power and a fan base that worships personality over song. Vince calls for a return to songs that speak to the heart, not to the ego. He doesn't want music that shouts. He wants music that listens. And that's why artists like Kanye, who turn the stage into a shrine for themselves, represent a warning sign to Vince and artists like him. Over the years, Vince Gill could have easily followed trends, chased clout, and grabbed headlines, but instead, he took the quiet road. He refused to compromise his values for popularity. This decision might have cost him bigger radio hits or younger audiences, but it won him deep respect from those who truly care about the roots of country music. Vince didn't chase influence. He earned legacy through integrity. His silence in the face of modern country's evolution speaks louder than any call-out. He didn't publicly attack Billy Ray Cyrus, Jason Aldean, or Shania Twain, but his absence from their celebrations sent a strong message. For Vince, showing up means support. So when he doesn't attend an event or share praise, it isn't accidental, it's intentional. And in an industry where silence is rare, his quiet stance reveals where his heart really lies. The deep fractures in country music today reflect a wider problem. There's a battle between flash and feeling branding and soul fame and heart. Vince Gill stands on one side of that divide, choosing dignity, emotion, and songcraft over showbiz. In doing so, he represents a part of the genre that's shrinking, but still deeply needed. He's not just holding on to tradition, he's defending music's meaning. Vince Gill doesn't lecture, complain, or get dragged into online fights. Instead, he sticks to what he knows best, writing honest songs, playing with emotion, and standing up for quality in quiet ways. In a world loud with self-promotion, his calm presence reminds people what music once stood for. He's not just an artist, he's a standard, a mirror showing how far the genre has strayed. When Vince threw shade at fake outlaws, Travis Tritt fired back with a stare so cold it silenced the room. Number 1, Travis Tritt. Travis Tritt and Vince Gill both rose to fame in the 1990s, but carried very different vibes. Travis brought a rough, rowdy energy that felt unpredictable and wild. Vince, on the other hand, stayed controlled and focused with a polished and traditional style. Their contrasting personalities and approaches to music shaped how they were seen in the industry. This difference made their relationship tense even before rumors of conflict began. One key moment behind the scenes happened at a benefit concert in 1997. Vince reportedly made some offhand remarks about artists who play outlaw but can't write a verse. Those comments didn't sit well with Travis, who built his reputation around the outlaw country spirit. According to insiders, Travis confronted Vince after hearing the remarks. The confrontation didn't escalate physically, but witnesses say Travis gave Vince a stare that could kill. That intense moment highlighted the real clash of egos and values between them. Their music and fans rarely overlapped, which kept their rivalry mostly out of public view. Vince's followers appreciated his smooth, melodic sound and heartfelt lyrics. Travis attracted fans who loved his rebellious image and hard-edged tunes. This split meant their paths didn't cross much on the charts or concert stages. It also made any potential friendship unlikely, since their worlds were so different. Unlike other well-known feuds in country music, Vince and Travis never publicly addressed their tension. There was no handshake, no public truce, and no signs of warming up over the years. Fans often wonder if the rivalry is still alive beneath the surface. Both men continued their careers separately, sticking to their own styles and audiences. The silence between them has become part of the story. A fresh angle is how this clash reflected a larger battle in 90s country music tradition versus rebellion. Vince represented the polished classic country sound many longed to preserve. Travis embodied the rougher, rebellious spirit that attracted younger fans and pushed boundaries. Their tension wasn't just personal, it symbolized a wider divide in the genre. This unseen battle shaped country music's evolution during that decade and left a mark on both artists' legacies. Vince Gill is famous for being graceful, humble, and kind in the country music world. That's why it surprises many to hear about rumors of quiet feuds and grudges involving him. Some say it comes down to Vince's perfectionism. He's known for being a hard worker who expects a lot not just from himself, but from others too. This drive for excellence often put him at odds with artists who had a more wild or carefree style. Vince never pushed to be the center of attention. He preferred letting his music speak for itself, while others chased the spotlight. When big personalities clashed with his calm, focused approach, Vince tended to pull back rather than confront openly. These tensions rarely made headlines but were very real behind the scenes. His high standards sometimes made it hard for him to connect with some mainstream stars who played by different rules. This quiet competition created a strange kind of isolation for Vince in Nashville's tight music circles. While he's admired for his talent and kindness, his drive for perfection sometimes built walls. People close to the scene say this side of Vince is rarely seen by fans or the media. It explains why some rivalries never exploded but simmered beneath the surface for years. Understanding this hidden layer sheds new light on Vince Gill's complex personality. Vince Gill reportedly keeps a private songwriting journal, but it's not just filled with lyrics. An insider claims this journal includes a secret list of artists Vince refuses to collaborate with. A roadie once said Vince marked some names with a firm "no" next to them. Though the list has never been made public, a Nashville assistant once saw pages where big names were crossed out in pen. It's unclear if this was a joke or real dislike, but it shows a side of Vince few know. This private list challenges the image of Vince as country music's nicest guy. At 68, he apparently has no problem drawing clear lines. Rumors say there are 7 artists he won't work with, and some rivalries on the list are shocking. One name in particular stands out for fans and insiders alike. This hidden grudge book reveals the quiet tensions that shape Vince's career, far from the friendly face the public sees. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click on the next video popping up on your screen for more amazing content.